Where have you been? It's the start of the Bengal Magazine, and I haven't seen you all summer. It's the 2013-14 edition of Bengal Magazine, and welcome everybody. On the show today, we're going to start with men's soccer, and Mark Howlett joins us, the first-year coach of the Bengals, and Mark's bringing along C.J. Scirto, a senior midfielder from Lockport, New York. And then we're going to go running in cross-country. Dustin Dimit joins us. Dustin's bringing along Julia Smith, a junior from Orchard Park. She's also a terrific singer. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. And then Nick DeMarsh ends the program. He's the head coach of women's soccer. And Nick is bringing along Linda Banfield, the senior goaltender. So stick around, and we're going to talk a little soccer when we come back. All right, we're going to talk a little soccer now. Mark Howlett, the first-year coach of the Bengals, joins us along with C.J. Scirto. And Mark, welcome again. You've had a few months now, and the team has been practicing, a little scrimmage. Give us a little overview of the 13 season.
Well, we've got a lot of new faces. It's split up in thirds, really, with returners, transfer students, and freshmen. We've had a very positive preseason. We've changed the culture a bit. The attitudes and the expectations on the guys has risen, and the fitness levels have been very good. So all in all, it's very positive right now.
Okay, let's just talk about what you did in the offseason. You had mentioned broken into threes. And I would think the hardest thing for you to do was to get yourself settled and then start recruiting, because you were probably doing that at your past school too. So was that difficult? Is it a difficult sell, Buffalo State? And how did that process go for you?
Well, first of all, I needed to see what we had here and the returners and who would buy into the system and make sure that they'd be the appropriate personnel to move forward with, and then see by position-wise where we needed to go. So we did that in the first week, and then we were out on the road recruiting, making sure we were getting in the talent that we needed to be successful this year.
Okay. You had mentioned a certain, maybe I'm paraphrasing this wrong, but a certain type of student athlete. Are you looking for someone in particular, or what are your requirements as a head coach?
I mean, the biggest thing is to make sure that they know it's a commitment. It's not just August to November that they have soccer. It's a year-round commitment, and we need to make sure that we're recruiting the right type of student athlete that understands that is willing to give that effort all year round to make sure that we can continue to reach higher heights.
CJ, do you sense that commitment? Did you sense it in the off season, and now that camp has started and we're ready to kick the season off?
Yeah, definitely spring season it started. The mentality started switching, and over the summer a lot of the returners, had the right attitudes going in, and it really showed in the beginning of the preseason that everyone, was focused on the same goal.
So you noticed a difference?
Oh yeah.
In what area? Better shape, just better focus?
Yeah,
all of the above?
Yeah, better focus for sure. Everyone, is going towards the same goal, as I said. Fitness levels were a lot higher than, previous years. And, it's more of like a group effort this time around for sure.
So you get the recruiting aspect done, and then what are your objectives in the off season? Because you're coming into a program, it's brand new, and as you said, this culture change. What are you trying to do in the off season with your coaching and also with the student athletes?
To make sure that I'm doing things right, and to make sure that everything I do is professional, to show them this is the right way to do it. So the time management piece, making sure that they're staying on top of being on time, getting to class, study sessions, and then the training piece, and making sure when we're together we're focused and we're getting our work and we're getting out of it what we want. So making sure that I was in the office, door open, and setting that standard that they then saw and they could take with them also.
Yeah, I saw the sleeping bag in there a couple of nights, so I know you were in there, and sometimes you get there at 7 and the light's still on. Okay, whatever. It's interesting for you. I look at you as a senior, your last year, and yet it's kind of a new beginning for you. How do you view this season, CJ?
I actually take it as a really good opportunity that my last year could everyone could be like this, and with Mark and the new coach and everything. Okay. So I think it's really good and exciting.
And as individual? I know you look at it as a team, but what are you trying to accomplish this year?
I mean, personally, just have my fitness level real high.
Okay.
Do as much as I can for the team.
Great.
And I mean, at the end of the season, if individual rewards are there, then that's just a bonus.
It'll all add up. We go to Frostburg for a tournament this weekend, and tell me a little bit about the tournament and what are your expectations?
We play two pretty good teams there. Pitt Greensburg had a decent season last year, and then Grove City had a very good season, losing by the odd goal in overtime to three teams that made the national tournament. So it's going to be some great competition. It'll give us the opportunity to get away as a team, get to know each other a little more on the road and in the hotels, but we're looking for a positive outcome.
It's so early in so many ways. Early in the season, early in your career here. Do you look at this tournament differently than you would at let's say a conference game a month away? What are you doing with this tournament?
For sure. I mean, we have worked on our system and our shape and how we want to play during this preseason, and obviously that's very new to everybody because we didn't get into too much of that in the spring.
Okay.
So we're looking for the outcomes to make sure that we're solid defensively, that we see the shape that we've been working on, that we're executing the things that we've practiced day in, day out in this preseason. So, obviously looking for positive results
Sure.
at the end of it, but mainly looking to focus on have we learned, have they got the grasp of what we're trying to do to make sure that, yes, by conference time we're ready.
CJ, is it similar for you in the sense of maybe a new system? I love that word, system, that you and your teammates have to kind of gel together and understand that now in game condition?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important that we're all on the same page and everything, and, we have everything laid out in front of us, and, everyone's just got to be a part of it.
So if we come and watch Bengal soccer this year, is the system what you thought the system would be when you came here, and now you've got recruiting done? Is the personnel matching up to what you thought it would be, or have you kind of molded that a little bit?
We've molded it.
Okay.
I think that you have to be flexible within this. I don't believe that there's just one way to play, and I think that different players and personalities bring different things. So we've had to mold it into where our strengths are and also to cover our
Sure.
weaknesses. So,
Okay.
we've molded it, but now we have a very good idea of what we want to do going forward, and I think it's all laid out to every player's role and responsibility, both offensively and defensively, of what we want to do.
Okay. About a minute and a half left, Mark, and I don't mean to put you on the spot with this, but it's been a number of years since the soccer program has been where it used to be. And that was one of the nation's premier programs. And soccer seems to be so big in Western New York, and that it should take. You've been here now. You've met Coach Hartrick. You understand the history of Bengal soccer. What's it going to take to get us back to that level where we're consistently competing for a conference championship and moving into maybe the NCAAs?
Again, it starts with me day in, day out in making sure that I'm doing as much as I can, that I'm making sure that I'm reaching out recruiting year round, that I'm making sure that these guys are successful both in the classroom and on the field, just making sure the whole picture is in place, that people want to come and be a part of what we're doing. And, Coach Hartrick came in and spoke to the guys Sunday before our scrimmage, and he laid that out also in
Sure.
why they were successful back when they were. And it's the little things that count, and making sure that, again, we're doing everything successful, so when a recruit comes and visits, he wants to be a part of what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish, because I think we have all the tools and everything here at Buffalo State that there's no reason why we shouldn't be successful.
Well, the Mark Howlett career and era starts this weekend at Frostburg. Mark and CJ, I wish you the best of luck. Have a great season.
Thank you.
We are going to take a small break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little cross country with Dustin Dimit. Stay with us. All right, we're going to go outside and talk a little cross country now. And Dustin Dimit, the fifth-year coach for the Bengals, joins us along with Julia Smith, a Quaker from Orchard Park. And Dustin, as I did with Mark, the season's just kicking off. So give us a little overview on the men's side, first of all.
Well, we have quite a few guys returning from one of our strongest seasons in
Yeah, I'll
recent
say.
history last year. So we're pretty excited. A lot of guys really did a lot of work over the summer. That's really important in our sport, and especially the freshmen coming in. So we're really
Okay.
seeing kind of a culture change from when I first came in, with the type of work people were doing in the summer to come in prepared to be successful.
And I know coaches don't like to name names, but give me a couple names. Who should we be really looking for this season to do some interesting things?
Yeah, our top 2 returners are Bumquith Jayak,
Okay.
who was a freshman last year and was actually the fastest freshman in the last decade in the 1,500
Wow.
meters in track. And he was a national qualifier for us in indoor and outdoor track. And then Kyle Foster, a junior and our team captain,
Okay.
had a really strong sophomore year last year. So those should be the top 2 guys, and then a great group of freshmen coming
Great.
in as well that should make an impact.
Yeah, you had a pretty good season last year, I guess. 4th in the conference, the best finish in 31 years.
Yep.
So we'll get back to that in a minute, but we do want to note that. And on the women's side, there's Julia here, but give us a little overview of the women.
The women, we have a great group. We just had our time trial last week that we do every year to kind of see the shape people are in coming out of the summer. That's our first practice. And we had our best overall team finish since I've been here. 4 girls, like top 6 times ever for the opening
Wow.
time trial.
Okay.
So we're really excited to see what they can do and put together. It's a real tight-knit pack. There's a little bit of strategy in cross-country running as well. So we don't
Okay.
have the front runner, so we're going to have to pack up and work together and
Okay.
see what we can do there.
Wow, and she's just smiling ear to ear, and it's amazing because Julia, you're back, I guess, if that's the right word to use. But you did not run last year. You did not run the year before, but you ran in high school at Orchard Park. So why are we running this year?
Well, I've always wanted to run cross country in college because I ran all 5 years. I started in 7th grade running cross country at Orchard Park.
Okay.
And I came to school for theater, so I didn't really have time to run and do theater. So
Sure.
I kind of had to figure it out. Last year, I kind of made it work,
Okay.
where I joined the team late.
Yep.
And I had finished a show, but now I'm free of shows this semester, so
Okay.
I'm totally
Wow.
cross country.
Well, having a daughter in the theater, I know what the productions are like and the rehearsals and all that. So that can be kind of crazy. And you got yourself ready by running locally in the Buffalo Marathon. And how did that go for you?
It went really well. I trained since January of last year. Of this year. And it was 4 months of hard training by myself.
By yourself, not a team or anything like
Nope.
that, like you hear about. Okay.
Yep, and I finished in 3 hours and 26 minutes.
Wow.
And I got the bug. I'm going to do it again.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. And I know you had an incredible you had the marathon, but you also were in California too.
Yes, I
Tell
was.
us a little, why was Julia Smith in California?
I had an internship at a production company in Santa Monica.
Okay.
And the group was called DJ2 Entertainment.
A little
And,
plug there, good.
Yep.
All right.
And I was learning about the entertainment industry, and from a teacher here, he kind of got me hooked up. And I was running the whole time I was there. And
She was running, Dustin, the whole
was.
time. Okay,
She
go
was.
ahead.
She talked to
I
me
couldn't avoid
throughout the
hills.
summer. And,
Impossible to avoid hills
Okay.
in California.
Yeah.
So I had pretty good training there, and the weather is fantastic. It didn't
Great.
rain once.
So you had a super experience out there all
Super
summer.
experience.
Glad to hear that. You had talked a little bit about the culture, and I'm kind of curious where you feel the state of your program is right now. This is your 5th year, and you had kind of mentioned how the kids kind of came in and ready to go. How do you sense the state of your program right now?
It's definitely moving in the right direction. I think most coaches always want it to be a little farther along.
Okay.
You always see areas of improvement, but by far each year it's gotten better with the work people have done in the summer, how they approach practice, the attitude, being excited to come and do a workout instead of maybe at the beginning it was, oh, we have to do this today. Now they're excited to get the work done and to get better and to get into races this week and see kind of how that translates.
Do you sense that, Julia, that if I'm going to join, it sounds like he wants us to be ready to go.
Oh yeah. Most of us really worked hard this summer, and it shows. The girls team, I speak for the girls team,
Okay,
and
right.
we are already a pretty tight group, and during the workouts we can really push each other, and I think we can do really well this year. I'm excited.
Fantastic. This weekend we run in our invitational, the Daniel Walker Invitational, and we're kind of moving it this year from what I understand. For years it's been out at Grand Island at Beaver Island State Park, and you decided to move it somewhere. So where are we going?
We're going to the fairgrounds in Hamburg.
Okay.
And we're doing that because we'd like to host an NCAA regional meet, and the start line at Beaver Island, they've been great to us there, but the start line isn't big enough for the 50 teams that show up for a regional championship, so we had to find another location. The fairgrounds worked with us to help us design something there, and other teams in our region wanted to see a meet run there before they awarded us the bid.
Yeah,
so.
let's go back a little bit. Tell me about the course out there, and how did you pick the fairgrounds? I mean, there's probably a lot of open spaces out in Western New York. And how did the fairgrounds come into being?
Yeah, well, we looked into a number of places and reached out to some people, and just how large the space was, and to give maybe something a little bit different that people don't see all the time. So part of our course goes on both the competition and the practice racetrack there, which is something that growing up in Ohio, the state championship for high school is at Scioto Downs in Columbus, and that was such a neat experience to do that there that I thought it would be really cool to give that in a college experience. And I reached out to some other coaches to see what they thought about it. They thought it was a great idea as well, and so we talked to the fairgrounds. They worked with us, and we're real excited to have them meet there.
We've got about a minute left, Dustin, but you mentioned the regionals, and it's something we want to do with this program, kind of keep moving it in terms of visibility locally, regionally, nationally. Why are the regionals important in terms of your program and where we want to go?
I think it just shows a level of maturity for the program that we are hosting these big meets, and it is hard to get them because we're on the edge of the region. So our region is New York and New Jersey, so everybody has to come all the way across the state if we host, which makes it a little more challenging. But just the fact that we can pull off that type of meet, that we have the type of facilities to do that, we have the type of personnel to do that. A lot of programs can't do that. So I think it shows something to recruits that we are having it there, and it gives you a little bit of a home course advantage that you know the course well. And as we continue to move on and get individuals and teams qualified for nationals, we want to make sure that they have every advantage possible, and running at home can be a great bonus.
So quickly, the regional bid would be for next year then? Let's do this one first this year, get the course down and all that, and then bid on it for next year.
Correct.
Terrific. Well, again, you start this Friday evening at the Hamburg Fairgrounds, the Daniel Walker Invitational. Julia, great to see you. Welcome back. Dustin, thanks for being on the show. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk soccer again, but this time the women's side, and Nick DeMarsh joins us. Stay with us. Well, we hope you can join us for the annual Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony. That's coming up quickly, Friday, September 27th at 6:30 p.m., right on the floor of the sports arena. And we're inducting 6 folks this year. John Maddie, the offensive lineman for the football Bengals. Janelle Oroz, who was a terrific track and field standout. Mario Hicks, also from track and field. Chris Fuller, former basketball player. And soccer player Ray Perez. All will be inducted. And then in the honorary category, Joe Odessa will be inducted, a former coach and administrator. So again, the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, Friday, September 27th at 6:30. If you'd like to come, please give me a call at 878-6514 or send me an email at the address listed on your television screen right now. Love to see you at the Athletics Hall of Fame ceremony on September 27th. So with that, we move on to a Hall of Famer in his own right. Maybe his own mind, I'm not quite sure. Nick DeMarsh, there you go. See, I had to get him to smile because he's so intense on these shows. Nick DeMarsh joins us, the head coach of women's soccer, and Linda Banfield, his goaltender, is joining us as well. So, Nick, welcome. First time on the show. Season hasn't really started. I know you've got a scrimmage in, but give us a little overview of what we can expect from the Bengals.
Well, preseason's been pretty tough. We've done a great job on the field, staying organized and staying healthy. Girls are working very hard. We even had a breakfast club run this morning at 7 a.m. Trying to test out of the beep test and work real hard before our first match.
Hold on. What is a breakfast run, first of all?
Breakfast club. Get up early, meet us out there, and let's retest our fitness scores and see where we're at.
Oh, I see. So we're not having bagels and cream cheese. We're getting at it.
Get out there and get after it.
Get after it. And how did they do, by the way?
They did very well. Almost
Great.
Everyone tested out this morning, which is very encouraging going into our next game. So we're excited. Team looks good.
The strength of this team would be defense, offense?
I think in years past, and most coaches will do this, they'll try to include everybody and say it's a good blend of old and new. I think we do have a lot of exciting new players, but I think the strength of this team is in our returners.
Okay.
We've got experienced players that have been to the playoffs multiple times,
right,
and learned their lessons. I think our strength is right up the middle, starting with our experienced senior captain goalkeeper, Linda, right into our 2 returning center backs, our 2 holding center midfielders, our holding center forward, even our center forward. All of the spine of our team is pretty strong and pretty well experienced. So,
you know, he just looked at you and pointed and said, "You're one of our strengths." Linda, is that added pressure, or is that, you know, that's what comes with the territory? You're a goalkeeper, you're returning, and you're the last one in terms of defense. Any pressure on you from that standpoint?
I mean, it does come with a role, but there's always pressure. We want to do well. Well, I personally want to do well for my team. I want to do well for coach. I want to push the team. I kind of have the whole spectrum of the field in my view, so there's a lot of responsibility back there, and I just want to.
Well, you did pretty well last year. 3rd team All SUNYAC. Played in 17 games, 5 shutouts. Where do you see yourself progressing? What are you working on? What do you want to accomplish that will help the team?
Definitely one of my top priorities right now is fitness. Still trying to keep up on that, and then just mental fitness as well. A lot of my job, people think it's just standing around and just blocking shots, but it's a lot of concentration and mental stability that needs to be back there. So,
you know, I can a little bit relate to that as a former hockey goaltender, but that's interesting, the fitness aspect of it. Physically, certainly mentally. Does she give you that? And that's something that's overlooked, isn't it?
Well, I don't want to put her on the spot and embarrass her, but when she came to us...
But you'll do it anyway.
Sure, of course. Happily. She came to us as a good athlete, and we could see the leadership in her when we recruited her out of high school. But she came from a small town and not a lot of high-level premier experience, so we knew she would need to be groomed. We had a goalkeeper at that time who was our starter and a very high level, and she became a great understudy. And last year we saw her really start to fulfill that potential that we saw in high school. She was uber confident in high school, just a matador out there controlling the field, kind of giving direction, and we're seeing that again on the college level, and it's exciting for us. So
wow, that's terrific. We go down to Long Island and the Farmingdale tournament, and I'm kind of curious from both your perspectives. Are you set in your lineup? Is this a tournament where you go down and you kind of turn the screws here and maybe the wrench over here and kind of tweak it a little bit, or how do you approach this from a coaching standpoint?
Well, we try to win every single game.
There you go.
So I put my best players on the field, but we have extenuating circumstances just like every team. So we have one of our defenders whose grandmother is very ill, and she may or may not travel with us depending on how that goes. Another one of our defenders has an ankle issue, so we're looking at her saying how many minutes is she going to give us. But we will play the best players every minute of the game.
Do you look at it differently than maybe a conference game? It's the first game of the season, the first tournament of the season. Do you approach it individually differently, Linda?
It is a game, so I want to win all of them. Obviously, it doesn't have the same impact as a SUNYAC game, but it's still a game. It's still in our, in our
You want to win everything.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's interesting because we're making a trip down to Long Island. We come back and we're making another trip down to the city area, whatever you want to call that. Is there a rhyme or reason for that, or?
Yeah, we've gone to this tournament and it's been a very competitive tournament for us every year. We don't want to necessarily go to a soft tournament where we win both games and get a false sense of security. I think our season last year, where we started with 6 conference champs in a row to begin the season, got us ready for conference play in the SUNYAC. So when we go down there, we know we're going to expect some good competition, but we also go down there to show the downstate players that we actually travel to their area so they can come and see us play. Their parents know that if they do decide that Buffalo State is a good fit for them, they can actually see kind of a home game. So it becomes a recruiting tool for us too. And really, there's a huge soccer culture on Long Island. There are so many quality players that we really want to be able to go down there and attract and get those kids interested in our program.
Well, Linda, Nick, I wish you the best of luck. We kick it off this weekend down in Long Island, and have a great season.
Thank you.
Thanks,
You're
Tom.
welcome. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Bengal Magazine. Thanks to Nick, and Mark and Dustin and the student athletes for being on. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks for more Bengal Magazine.